You get a deal. I get a deal. No, I didn't get a deal. Everybody seems to be getting deals. Everyone's getting traded. Everyone's getting contracts. I guess this is just, 'tis the season. But it's good because then we have stuff to talk about. Because I'm never going to force football talk. It's fun. Let's make it fun. So today we're talking about all kinds of great stuff in the NFL. Contracts, fun stuff. All the big trades. And then we'll take it from there with some free agents, I think. So let's get started. Welcome to Shut Up Football, everybody. I am Jeff Stoltzfus, your humble football guy, talker of things. That's Kevin. Today, we're talking about Myles Garrett and A.J. Brown, because I feel like no one's talking about them. We're going to talk about what their trades mean for everyone involved. We're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders a little bit, making some news, as well as Russell Wilson. We'll also talk about the top free agents available. We got some homeless vets out there, and they need places to rest their weary heads. And we'll also talk about who else should be arrested and why. Not really sure if we'll have time for that last part, but let's get to the news.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
It is horrifying. Today let's look at this Myles Garrett trade for a sec before I get to the more spicy of the two, really, for me. So Myles Garrett has been traded to the Rams. We know this. What do the Rams get? Obviously, Myles Garrett. It would be a bad trade if that wasn't part of it. But the Browns get Jared Verse and a 2027 first round pick and an additional comp as well. It's the biggest trade, biggest news story since Godzilla was traded to Tokyo. So why this makes sense for the Rams? Well, he is still top of his game. He is. I don't really know who's out there debating it, but I see some stuff online because people will say, but isn't he 30? Yeah, that is true. He is 30. Oh, very astute of you. But last year, he set the single sack record for a season. Pretty significant. I don't feel like other than maybe the last game or so, it was even forced. He was well on his way. If anything, I was surprised he didn't get there a little sooner. It seemed like his trajectory was to blow right past it, but then there was a little bit of gamesmanship, I would say, by other teams to kind of make sure he didn't get it, it seemed. And then they kind of really went for it. But let's go over his numbers for a second here. Specifically, not his whole career. That would be kind of pointless because what people are debating, some people, as he goes to the Rams is, at his age, what does he have left? What can we expect from a 30-year-old? Well, and this is important because we'll get to A.J. Brown in just a minute, who's not that far from 30, but they are very different positions. And Myles Garrett is huge. He plays hard. You would expect some wear and tear on him as well. But since 2021, he's missed a total of 2 games. Pretty durable, I'd say. He's made the Pro Bowl the last 5 years straight. He's averaged 16.5 sacks per season over the last 5 years. So you're buying a lot of production, and he's on the field almost always. So he's dependable. He's basically a monster truck and a Ferrari. Now, the Rams Super Bowl window was already, I would say, open, but now it's just turned into a sliding glass door. So it's way open. Why does this make sense for the Browns, though? And this is a lot more where I see some of the hot takiness in terms of they didn't get enough, or why would they do this, or any of that. It makes sense for the Browns simply because the Browns are not one player away from anything. Getting picks is nice for the future. Now, you don't want to just get picks, because then it would signal that you are kind of giving up on this current season, and they're not. I mean, do they need to give up? They struggle as is. So what they needed to show was that they're serious about the now and the building process moving forward. And I think they are. As much as you can crap on the Browns for, I don't know, the last 25 years or so, and the Haslam ownership and all things involved Browns, Deshaun Watson, Johnny Manziel, I think I have hope and I don't really care about the Browns, but I have hope that they have a good GM now, that someone in the building is a grown up, and if given the chance, and that's the big if, can actually maybe build something going forward. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but something better than they've seen in the past. It's maybe enough struggling for the Browns. So they got Jared Verse, who is 25 years old, and do not underplay that. He is awesome. He is a really good player, and he's still on the up, and he's still young. So it's good to show that you have not only a good player, but someone who's still young enough to build toward the future, to go with those picks. You've got someone now, but you're still stacking for the future that you hope is soon. But you really do need to start spending those picks wisely. Not all in the draft either, but I don't think that they're at the point where they need to be spending picks on free agents or trades too much. Verse was a good one to get for now, but maybe get another year or two down the road before you start trying to add that one last piece you think you need. So, and really nothing in Cleveland kind of matters until they get that quarterback set, which maybe they do. I don't think they do, but maybe they do have something in Shedeur Sanders moving forward. I think if he's just competent, if he's the 15th or 16th best quarterback in the NFL, they're good to build other things around. You don't always need the best at the quarterback position. You need good enough, and you can build around, and then you can swap out quarterback, hopefully, for someone even better. And we've seen that multiple times. So keep building. And, it was a fairly decent haul for the Browns, I would say. The only reason to actually keep Garrett in Cleveland was just to sell jerseys. There's no real reason to hold him hostage on that team. And at 30, get what you can. I mean, I'm a little surprised he didn't leave last season when he was really pushing to get out, but he got paid, and now he goes to an even better situation. It's been nothing but roses for Myles Garrett. So he's the big winner, obviously, in all of this. Even if he never wins a Super Bowl with the Rams, the fact that he's finally gotten to a team that has a chance, I mean, he's got to be thrilled. The losers in this trade are clearly the NFC West quarterbacks. Sorry, buddies. This is going to be like Predator. Not the first one. This is going to be like the second one. So Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Jacoby Brissett, they're all the cops from the second one, the sequel. They're not even Danny Glover. They're all the other cops around Danny Glover that got killed off systematically. So that's what this is going to be like for them. They're the big losers because none of them are really all that mobile. I know they say Sam Darnold is athletic. I think when they say it, it's more like a surprise, maybe a question mark at the end, but nah. This is going to be bad for you. The Rams draft in itself that just happened actually makes a lot more sense when you look at it now, post the Myles Garrett trade. So, and I thought it made I thought it made sense at the time, but it makes way more sense now. So Ty Simpson is what I'm talking about specifically here. Ty Simpson, if you look at it, post the Myles Garrett trade, think about that. They're not one player away from anything. They were already a good team. But if Matthew Stafford went down, and he is getting up there in age, he's not immortal. He plays through pain. He plays through injury. We've seen it before, more when he was younger. But if he were to get a tear, a bone break, something, uh, this Myles Garrett trade wouldn't have mattered. You know, if Matthew Stafford, who just had an MVP season, was lost to injury, they're screwed. I don't know how else to put that. In my estimation, they would be screwed. So to get a good, competent backup quarterback is important. Yeah, they had Jimmy G, I believe, was it last year, but you know, they also needed to get one for the future. And if you think about, especially with this Myles Garrett trade, where are they going to be at in the draft at the end of the season? Even if they don't win the Super Bowl, they're not going to be in a good position for next year's draft. And that was the big thing. A lot of people said, whoa, first round. I said it. First round is too high for Ty Simpson. First round capital really puts a lot of pressure on Ty Simpson. There's no pressure, but they were not going to be in a position no matter what next year to get any of these spicy, tasty quarterbacks that are supposed to be loaded in next year's draft when we don't even know because things change. You know, people get soured on certain things. I mean, Drew Aller was a big change from one year to the next. So if they were going to get a quarterback for the future, it made sense to do it now while they had decent range to get one. Because I believe the draft pick they used to even get Ty Simpson, I don't think was theirs even originally. It was, I don't know why I want to say the Panthers. It was somebody else's. So it makes a lot more sense now moving forward. However, I do feel bad for Jared Verse, to be honest. I mean, you go to bed thinking you're on a Super Bowl contending team led by Sean McVay and an MVP, and next day you live in Ohio. And I'm not bad-mouthing Ohio, but some people are framing this as like a homecoming for him because if you go check his Wikipedia page, he says he was born in Dayton. I don't think this is a homecoming for him. I don't know how much time he's really spent in Ohio because it does say he was born in Dayton, but it also said he grew up in Pennsylvania and North Carolina. So did he leave when he was 3, 5? I don't know, but unless he's got family in Ohio to go back to, I don't look at it as a homecoming. Last year, he was also, I think it was last year, or maybe the year before, trolling the crap out of Eagles fans. Oh, Jared. Now he's riding shotgun with Shadur Sanders and Deshaun Watson. Buddy. Not saying that one caused the other, but karma's an Eagles fan. Let's get to A.J. Brown. Speaking of Eagles and former Eagles. Oh, this is interesting. So the New England Patriots have officially traded for Diana Rossini. I'm sorry. A.J. Brown. Good. Let it be done. This is exactly what we all knew was going to happen because of the money. It had been said for, I don't know, since the end of last season. It's exactly what I thought was going to happen. But I'm not going to crap all over A.J. Brown. There's reason that I could, and some people are. Some Eagles fans are now crapping on him. One, because it's kind of like as soon as he leaves the team, you want to say, well, he wasn't going to be good anymore anyway. Or some of the things he's saying, like he gets to New England, he goes, oh, this is heaven. And he starts acting like, oh, I've been in the worst place ever. I've only been to multiple Super Bowls and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not going to crap on him. He's not a cancer. He's not somebody that needed to be cut out of the team like Terrell Owens was. I also don't think that he's the best wide receiver the Eagles have ever had. I've seen that take a lot too. I'm not sure what they're basing that on. Is there actual? Are they looking at statistics that can improve that? Because he is a wide receiver one. He is what they needed. He was great. I don't know, dude. Ever? That feels like recency bias to me. I felt like Terrell Owens, bringing him up again, was like a monster on the field for us, at least for one season. He was kind of like the best wide receiver we ever had, and I hate him. I remember his stupid ass doing sit-ups on the driveway with news cameras all around him. I worked in news at the time. Our people were there too. Oh, it was stupid. But I don't think that AJ Brown is specifically a diva, but he does have issues. He does have perhaps mental health issues. I don't know. I'm not going to be one of those people that paints it as CTE. I think he may actually have legit I don't want to say mental problems. He's had things to deal with in his life that are non-football related mentally, and I don't think millions of dollars in fame help. They rarely do when you have struggles. So that being said, I am glad he's gone. I will say that. I am glad he is gone. I'm glad he's off the team. Not because of a dislike specifically for him as a person, but he just causes unnecessary drama with the social media posts and the live streams and reading on the sideline. Just all unnecessary things that are a distraction to your team when you're trying to focus on getting things right. If your teammates are ever in a position after a game where they are being interviewed and having to answer questions about you, that's a distraction. That's unnecessary. They don't need that. Should be talking about the game. They should be talking about the win. They should be talking about themselves, if anything, not why is AJ reading a book? Where is AJ? Because he's not there to talk to the press. He was constantly checking out. Now, the interesting thing about this is, and I know I make funny on my channel, but I don't like to go too deep into the personal, but it's out there now. It's been floating around, and I'm going to have to give some air to it, which is the fractured relationship with Jalen Hurts, because it's being said that it's non-football related, which, we'd heard rumors before, but specifically online, some things that were said from former teammates, that Hassan Reddick, former Eagle from the 2023 season, and AJ Brown shared the same slam piece, and that AJ didn't know, and that apparently at some point Jalen Hurts knew. Don't know why. And that he didn't tell AJ, and that then later on AJ found out and felt betrayed because he didn't tell him. Mixed reporting on that. It's not reporters, it's people on the internet, so I don't know how much credence to actually give this, but it does also kind of line up in terms of some things we've seen before with how they're tight-lipped about what the problem was, why there was a rift. There was clearly something that was wrong between the two of them. Even AJ admitted as much. So maybe that was the reason why he was checked out. I don't want to say giving up, but not mentally there with the team as much as he could have been, should have been. And Jalen Hurts, he just cares about winning. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love him as my quarterback. He just doesn't give a fuck. Not about anything in life, but tune out the noise. There's too much non-football, non-winning related noise out there to deal with. He's going to focus on one thing, and that's getting another trophy. AJ, not so much. AJ couldn't let it go. So that's the fracture. Now, I've seen a slew of horrible takes surrounding this one, more so than the Myles Garrett trade. So I'm going to go through some of the horrible takes because that, to me, is the more interesting stuff. So, horrible take number one, the Eagles lost the trade, or they didn't get enough, which not really sure how to play devil's advocate here on this one and say that they did lose the trade. Obviously, I am biased. I am an Eagles fan, but they traded him for a first and a fifth when they originally got him for a first and a third. Not really that dissimilar. Not really. A third and a fifth. I mean, what they got out of AJ Brown for 4 years was wide receiver one play, 1,000-yard seasons constantly, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win. And then they basically traded him back to somebody, kind of the same guy, but not really, for very nearly the same cost. What else in life can you possibly do that with? Think about a car. You buy a brand new car, drive it for 4 years, there's going to be some depreciation. Go sell it to somebody, near identical price. Not possible. Not humanly possible. I don't know how you could say, well, they didn't get enough. I'm sure they got all they could, but also, who else was in contention to even take him? Like, Howie Roseman got a first and a fifth back when there was only really one buyer. There was, because I thought it would have been interesting if he would have gone somewhere else, but the Rams were the only other ones that were ever really linked to him. And with what pick? The Rams, with their F them picks approach, that's what they used to get Myles Garrett. So I don't know how much they were ever really truly in contention. And I just think that's kind of silly. You always want more. If it's your team, you go, oh, we should have gotten more for A.J. Brown. The dude is 28, almost 29. I mean, I don't know how much more you think you could have gotten for him. Do you think you could have gotten that third? Would that have held up the deal if you would have turned that fifth into a third? I just think that's a pretty lukewarm take there. So I'm glad they got what they got for him. I think it's amazing we got that much for him, to be honest. Good for the Eagles. The only problem that's left on the table is the dead cap money, which is why they waited till June 1st post to make the move, because it would have been all lump sum in one season versus now they can spread it over 2 years. And it's not so bad this year. I think it's like 10, but I do believe next year it's closer to 20. So it is still a chunk of money to deal with, but it's also Howie Roseman, and he's just going to move things around. It's going to be fine. Not even worried about that. The other thing that I personally feel, and I pulled this from a coach, I'm probably paraphrasing more than I'm actually quoting here, but they want participants, not hostages. And I absolutely feel that way for anything in life, really. But specifically for your team, you want people bought in. You want people who are there with you, working with you, not just because you contractually have them by the balls, which is a silly thing to really say because they were contractually paying him. So they didn't have to do anything really for AJ, but they did do right by him. And I also applaud that. They did right by A.J. Brown by sending him back to Vrabel, by sending him to New England where he wanted to go. And I think that, not even for A.J. Brown himself as just being a good guy move, I think that sends a good message to your team too. You know? Maybe not so much that if you whine, we'll move you where you want to go, but that we can still work things out if you work with us. So, and he didn't. I would say this offseason, A.J. Brown wasn't like a cancer. He wasn't constantly talking bad about the Eagles. He wasn't constantly saying, I have to get moved. If anything, I saw him at different events speaking well and thanking people for their time and go Birds and all that. So they did right by him. I don't think he slighted us too much. Horrible take number 2. The Eagles are immediately worse. Now that one's fair, but I'll explain why I think that is a bad take as well. Sure, they lose A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's presence, a player of his caliber. You could easily say that, yes, because the roster is worse because he's gone. But we're talking on paper. On paper, looking at a roster, you could say, well, we lost an A.J. Brown. We are worse. But in real life, we don't really know that to be true yet because everything is going to be different this year. Now, there's no one receiver on the Eagles that is going to replace his average of 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns a year. I know Devontae Smith has basically similar numbers, so you could say he's going to replace him, but he was there getting those numbers alongside. So I don't really know how you say that. I wouldn't go that far. But to me, I think about this offense is going to be very different this year. Last year, it was kind of hot garbage. And, it's been discussed why with our offensive coordinator, who gets most of the blame, but I still think rightly so. I can't get that for Burt's play video out of my mind. God. So, the offense could easily be better this year, sans A.J. Brown, just because we have a better offensive coordinator. So, to say that the Eagles are immediately worse now than they were a year ago, I don't think that's true at all. Everything I hear so far about the Eagles and the Sean Mannion offense is it's looking good. Things are positive, and they planned for this move so far in advance. Sure, no one is A.J. Brown on the team. That much is true. But they did bring in Dontavian Wicks. They drafted Mekhi Lemon and Hollywood Brown. Like, they have guys. They're not A.J. Brown, but let's be honest, probably a lot of that production is going to end up with Dallas Goedert. So they're going to be fine. I'm not really worried about the team. And to be honest, I'm okay. And you can say, well, you're just trying to talk yourself into being okay with losing A.J. Brown. Maybe. That is a fair take as well. But I am more interested in a Sean Mannion-led offense than I am an A.J. Brown-less offense. I'll put it that way. I'm less worried about losing one piece of the puzzle when the picture on the box got that much better. Horrible take number 3. Jalen Hurts was only good because of A.J. Brown. First off, we don't accept Jalen Hurts slander on this channel. We just don't. It's a cold, hard rule that we have here. I'm not saying he's a perfect quarterback. I could talk to you about some of the warts on his game, but no, we don't slander the baby here. No, we don't do that. No, Mr. Peter. Second, saying that a quarterback was only good because his best offensive weapon is gone, that feels a little lazy, don't you think? You could literally say that about anything or anyone. That's like saying pizza is only good because of cheese. Like, take away the cheese and it's just tomato bread. Here's the truth. It is a business. We all know that. We accept that. We constantly see it. A.J. Brown was no longer good business for the Eagles. But that's just a fact. Will he be with the Patriots, though? So, Patriots, what do they get? Obviously, a wide receiver 1, which they needed. They sorely needed a wide receiver 1. So they get what they need. That's a win for them. I'm not saying at any point here that the Patriots didn't get a good wide receiver. I think he's going to be fantastic for them this season. Drake May gets his best weapon, and both will see an uptick in fantasy this year as well. However, let's be 100% honest about what they have. He is a 28-year-old wide receiver. People keep calling him 29, but everything I've read says that he just had a birthday and turned 28, so unless he's about to turn 29 and I just misread it. That's possible. I don't read so good. Something in my brains scrambles the poopy. So maybe he is 29. Well, will be 29 in the season. Right now he's 28. Happy birthday, AJ. So he's got some wear and tear because he does play physical. Last year he had hamstring issues. He's got some knee concerns throughout his career. So I'm not going to act like he's about to fall off a cliff here or anything, but he does have wear and tear. He's not a spring chicken. He's a well-seasoned chicken. But there are valid concerns with his age. Now, the other thing about it is I think A.J. Brown going to Mike Vrabel is kind of like drama stacking. I think they'll be fine in year 1. I think A.J. will perform, and I don't think there'll be any real drama this year unless suddenly they start losing games. And I don't think they're going to fall off a cliff, the team itself, but I don't think they're going to be as good. I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year, even with A.J. Brown. But sending one kind of drama-filled dude to another currently stuck in a scandal, if you want to call it that, it's like nesting dolls of secrets and lies. They can get through year 1, I'm sure. But let's also be fair about the history of teams that lose in the Super Bowl, which the Patriots did, they don't immediately return to the Super Bowl. That's very, very rare. Usually they drop off a bit before they return. So this year's going to be tough. This year's already going to be tougher than last year because if you remember the Patriots had a fairly easy schedule, especially once they got to the playoffs where they were facing the Broncos with their backup quarterback. So not saying they're a bad team. They are a good team. They are on the up, and I do like Mike Vrabel as a coach. I'm just saying what the history has been. There's going to be more. It's going to be a more uphill battle this season than last year. So you hope A.J. Brown is enough to get them back to where they were. Historically, that's a rough road. But again, like I said, in the short term, I think this year everyone's fine. I'm more interested in the ripple effect this is going to cause 2 to 3 years from now. What is that going to do for both the Eagles and the Patriots? I love to see the outcome down the road, to be honest. Where are we? Oh, we're getting long already. Shedeur Sanders. We have to move on to Shedeur Sanders. We have to. We must, contractually. YouTube will come for us. Shedeur Sanders was paid. This headline caught my attention. Maybe it's not actually interesting. You tell me. Shedeur Sanders was paid $17.7 million by the NFLPA for last year, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I looked into it. That's more than $17.5 million. Mike Tyson's like $2,000 on Cameo. You could conceivably pay him to just make a cameo for you every single day. You could treat him like your alarm clock, and he could wake you up for the next 23 years. So that's the kind of money we're talking. That's how I spend my money. Was it made through jersey sales? No, it was not. Daddy Dion said it came from a tremendous deal with the NFLPA for licensing. It was a licensing deal for trading cards. Holy crap, I had no idea that cards were so lucrative because I don't own any. But also, I haven't been licensed to be on any cards, which is really, I mean, it's sad, but it's also fair. But for comparison, let's take a look. So he made $17.7 million last year in licensing deal with trading cards. His actual rookie contract, not for that year, but his whole rookie contract, so 4 years, $5 million. $5 million versus 17.7. And that is a tremendous amount of money, especially when you realize that that's not even all his money. That doesn't include was it Gatorade and KFC and every other advertising deal he has worked out. Dude's making a lot of money. But this is great news for other future 5th round picks. Look at the money you can make. The money in general seems to be going up, though. Travis Hunter also made $13 million from this, from the same NFLPA deal, the licensing. The record before this offseason was 9.5 by Tom Brady. So they blew past him, no problem. This year, though, last year, Patrick Mahomes made 8. I don't know why. That just seems odd to me that they make so much more than him. Also, how is the NFLPA making so much money? That is odd. Like, if they're giving out that kind of deals on cards, like, what are they bringing in? What are they bringing in from the cards? I don't know. I have a lot of questions there. I haven't gotten to the bottom of that one yet. It just caught my eye because I was like, I don't understand how. I mean, I guess it makes more sense to me that he made that money than he got selected to the Pro Bowl last year. That was even more head-scratching to see him standing alongside those other guys like, look what I did. How did you do? Finally, to finish up the news, after 14 seasons, Russell Wilson has officially retired. So you can now confidently remove him from your fantasy football lineups. I know, sad news indeed. You were all banking on him to bring that home, that championship. He has signed with CBS. That's why he walked away from the game He's not going to be calling games. Don't worry about that. No danger witches in the booth. He is going to be in the studio with James Brown, Bill Cowher, Pokemon, the wacky inflatable arms guy. I don't know. I don't really watch CBS anymore. I have a remote that works. But he'll be in the pregame, I guess, like Matt Ryan was. I think Matt Ryan was on CBS, and I assume he's no longer due to front office duty. Wilson, he gave so much to the sport. He also gave even much more off the field, like unlimited diarrhea, high knees, and a Subway commercial that was so cringe-inducing, I missed Jared. Wilson is survived by his wife, Ciara, who I'm told is famous, and one Super Bowl pass that will haunt him forever. Broncos country, let's ride. And finally, let's finish this up with the top free agents available. I did promise that. I also promised sending people to jail. We just don't have time for that. I got to learn how to budget my time much better in these live streams so I can send people to jail. Maybe that'll just be like a running thing that when we have free space at the end, I'll figure out which NFL player needs to go to jail next. And for what? For what will be the fun part for all of us? Because there's so much. Speeding, kind of boring. Domestic assault is not doesn't tickle the ears. We can come up with better things. Jaywalking with extreme prejudice. I don't know. We'll figure stuff out together. We'll do it as a team, you and I. Hey, happy Thursday, Dr. Jen. Thanks for joining us. Let's find some free agents here. That's my people speak. Look at this. I can do things. Boom. Look what we did. I'm in a box. Bitch. All right. Here is Spot Track, which I found interesting because we could also go to, this is NFL.com. They've got the top free agents available. Joey Bosa, Epinesa, kind of boring. What's interesting when you go to Spot Rack. I don't know how you say that. I'm not going to learn. So is that you can rank it here by market value. Now, my big question is, what does that mean? I wish I had more answers than questions, but it's just what they're worth. That's the street value of a Taylor Decker. In case you were out in the back alley trying to grease the palm of some miscreant, I need some Taylor Decker. Here's 20. What do I get for it? You do not get Taylor Decker. You do not get Debo. But here's what they have listed. So Debo is one that is, I haven't seen much on Debo, to be honest. He's 30 already, and I felt like he was already probably on the way toward the tail end of his career when he went to the Commanders, which also another guy that just has had a tremendous amount of wear and tear on his body over the years. So you got to wonder what's left. But I still see him getting on a team this year. This is what's interesting to me about the top free agents available at this point in the season or off season is I think a lot of these guys are still going to end up on teams, and it's going to be a mix of some of them are not great, too expensive, and time will tell. There's also going to be a certain number of these guys who, and I don't know how many of them other than maybe some tackles or defenders who just don't want to do the off-season program. Oh, is Debo retiring? Is that out? Is that out now? That's interesting. No, I didn't see that. That would be shocking, though. But a lot of these guys, they don't want to go and join a camp until further on in the season, off-season regimen, because it's sweaty and gross. So I think they will end up on teams eventually. I don't think they're going to go too far into the season anyway. But the big question marks for me would be someone like Tyreek Hill, who I believe is coming off injury. He's 32 years old, and he feels like somebody who's got wide receiver-itis, so I don't think that I would want him. I would much rather be interested in Stephon Diggs. I think he is the much more interesting wide receiver for a wide receiver needy team. And I've seen him floated. I know he just came from the Patriots, so they're stocked up there. I saw him floated a few different places. I thought it was interesting, the Raiders, because you could make a good case that the Raiders don't really have a one. They're waiting for some of these guys that they drafted to step up. I thought Jack Bech was going to eventually ascend. He didn't last year. Deontay Thornton, I thought, had some good promise, at least as a part-time guy. He didn't quite pan out yet. Of course, they didn't have a quarterback, so you could make that case too. Maybe they will both do well this year. But I think when you have young guys in the building like that, you want at least one dude who's a good veteran presence. Pretty sure it was Jacoby Myers last year who left, so they lost that in him when they lost him. So it makes sense Diggs would go there if they can pay him, and maybe he would be excited by pairing with a young Fernando Mendoza. I'll tell you one thing, he wouldn't be too excited with pairing with Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't think, unless he's got, fond memories. I would think that he'd probably be like, old and busted, no thank you. And I do think Kirko is going to start this year, at least a couple games, so we'll see. I also think that Stephon Diggs would be a monumental add to the Chiefs. And I have not seen anyone link him there at all, but I just don't see how what's going on with the Chiefs right now, how they could not use his services with all that Rashee Rice has going on with both injury cleanup and going back to jail. Kind of a big deal. Hard to catch passes from jail. I know he'll be back. I mean, you'll catch something in jail. I know he'll be back for the season, but also it's a trust issue. So I could see him going there. The only reason I think he wouldn't is if they started to see some of their younger wide receivers, like, I don't know, I think it was Cyrus Allen, who they drafted this year, or Jalen Royals from last year, who I was a huge fan of. See them step up and kind of put their minds at ease, but I still think they could use Diggs. So we'll see. That's the two best, I think, landing spots. I'm shocked Mekhi Becton is still on this list. Is that true? Because I know he kind of flamed out with the Chargers, but he kind of flamed out with the Jets too. But there's no denying what he did with the Eagles. So I think they're fairly set now with the Eagles, though, with what they have. But maybe the problem is going to be price. If he's really listed at 13, I would say an Eagles return would make sense, even though Jeff Stoutland is not there. Maybe that's the concern too. If Jeff Stoutland, I don't even know where he is now. Nowhere, I think, currently? Or no, did he join? Might have joined as a consultant somewhere. Because if he was going to go become a line coach somewhere, Mekhi should follow him. Mekhi should stalk him online and follow him. So I don't know where he fits, but he's got to go somewhere. He's too good. He's too huge. He just needs the right system and the right people around him. Cam Robinson is another shocking one. Sorry, no, not Cam Robinson. I got the wrong player. Cam Jordan, where's he on this list? Because I know they're saying he'll go back to the Saints, and I do believe that. Though I also saw him floated to the Bears, which I think would be amazing. And if the Bears are looking for pieces to help get them one step farther than they did last year, that would be the kind I would think they'd be looking for. That would be one that would really help put their defense one step farther ahead. And their defense wasn't horrible last year. It's going to have a tougher time, I think, this season replicating the turnovers and all that. But they do have a lot of good pieces there. It's only going to grow, and I think that would be a pretty awesome place to go. Harrison Smith is just not going to play this year because he retired. So, that one we can take to the bank as not being on this list. $10 million? To unretire? No, he's not going to do it. Let's see who else we could find here. Devin Bush, no thank you. Bobby Wagner, are you still kicking around? If he is, golly, what's his price? Can I get him for a song and dance? Levante David is also retired. This is a dubious list. Jonnu Smith. I had to check on this one last night. He is currently not with the team. I thought for sure he was, but I guess he's still floating in the wind. Somebody might need him at some point, even though he's 30. He's a tight end, and those guys, athletic tight ends, as long as he's not injured, he'll end up somewhere at some point. Keenan Allen, less likely so, probably. I don't know. I hear Chargers rumblings. They could potentially use him, but what's the price going to be? $6 million? I don't think so. AJ Epinesa is probably one of the top edges out there floating around right there. And I've seen him mocked to Packers, and that actually makes a lot of sense to me. More so than Russell Wilson being on this list, who is also retired. Although that was recent. Greg Van Roten. What a name. I feel like he should be in a tax attorney or something. Hey, Hassan Reddick. Speaking of the devil. What's up, buddy? You know any girls that might know AJ? And Joe Mixon, the biggest mystery of all, Mr. Joe Jingleheimer Mixon. And I wish any of us knew what the crap was going on with that dude, because I'm concerned about his injury and if he's done forever. It sure seemed like he was under the threat of returning last year and then just never did. And I can't get a straight answer anywhere on what is going on with him. In fact, the only injury I can get more of a clarity on this year has been Malik Neighbors, and it's not good. It sounds like he's going to start on the PUP, which is why the Giants just signed OBJ, Braxton Berrios, and Charles Davis? I don't know. Somebody else really old. I think the top running back, where did he go? In the market right now, not Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler. I think he's come back from injury, though, too. I'd love to see him pop up on some team and then, steal the season in fantasy and then disappear again. Najee Harris. I've never been a big Najee Harris fan. I never felt like he was quite what he was supposed to be. But I think he is significantly healed and he's out there. And that's the guy that I was floating before for the Packers with the Josh Jacobs legal concerns. Josh Jacobs is now back at practice, by the way. Apparently, nothing has happened. That's fair. He's a running back. He runs from things. That makes sense. So I would still think Najee Harris goes to the Packers at some point. Nobody has said that. That's just me, my stupid brain making assumptions, because it would make sense. But we'll see what happens. That is pretty much our list. I'm sorry I didn't have more for free agents to go over. I spent too much time trying to figure out what these trades mean. But I will say this, it is a good time for people to be getting trades, contracts, getting paid. Drake London just got a song. I'm just kidding. They paid him. He got a ton of money. I saw, who was it? Tarnell Washington just got a good deal with the Steelers after Nick Herbig, I believe, got one as well. That makes perfect sense. So good deals are happening all across the league. Not Shadur Sanders money. Mind you, their cards, I guess, are not worth as much. But they should really look into that, because I hear that's where the money is. That is all for our live stream. Thanks for showing up today. I can't even think about what's coming out right now, but it's going to become the slow season. I say that every time. It's going to become the slow season in the NFL cycle, and then 15 things happen. So you know what? I shouldn't even say that. I'll just say, thanks for tuning in. Hope you have a lovely day, and say hi to your mom for me. Peace.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.